These are some universal laws, eternal laws, which I attempt to live my life by. And I hope you find them advantageous to your lifestyle. Reality is the law of order and consciousness, whereas actuality is the law of vibrations. You see, life is about producing a harmonium between the objective self, the outer self, and the subconscious self, the inner self, the master within. And you must learn how to activate the radiant body of the inner self. And through proper attunement with the master within, you participate in awareness, an awareness that allows you to have a direct contact with the forces of nature. You see, there's no ground more fertile than the human consciousness. And you can, through a mystical elevation of consciousness, experience the miraculous, a greater understanding, a mastering, and enlightening of your illumined mind. See, there's a psychic gateway, an inner ecstasy within each one of us. You know, enlightenment. Enlightenment is a unique and superior, different language. And most mortals don't have this guidance, for they don't understand it. To put it succinctly, the universal consciousness is the provider of the higher, unlearned knowledge. Most people are mystically suppressed. They have no mystical relationship whatsoever. You must have a direct nexus or bond with the cosmic, the universal mind, the cosmic phenomenon, the transcendent source. In such true mystical illuminations, there's a sense of great humility that engulfs the personality and humbles the ego. There's a higher wisdom that's trying to teach us something. If we would only lay aside our biases and become open and receptive. We must try to discern the grand plan of the grand architect, become builders, cosmic carpenters, if you will. No need to be strangers to ourselves. Understand we are triune beings of mind, body, and soul. And your soul is the great master, whereas the self, the ego, is the student. We all are the ones through which a great plethora of divine light is flowing. A great influx of spiritual light. There's a spiritual lottery in which we can't lose. We must make a deposit into our spiritual bank account, and we will be amazed at the withdrawal, the returns that we received. I'm only here to spread knowledge amongst you, thus liberating you from your prejudice and primitive concepts, which prevents you from evolving toward a better comprehension of your divine origin. Now, this is not the fruit of intellectual speculation, but the fruit of ancient wisdom acquired through a perfect harmonization with the universal or cosmic laws. How difficult it is to struggle against false beliefs and bring about the recognition of the new truth. But the new truth is really the old truth trying to be redefined. And one truth that is humanity is nothing more than a body of vibrations immersed in a vibratory ocean having its origins in the cosmic. You see, all things tangible proceeded from a world which is intangible. There are actually more spiritually evolved persons who have have attained a fair degree of development of their soul personality today in this world, maybe more than ever in the history of this world. But at the same time, there's an even greater number of morally lax or spiritually underdeveloped persons who have access to the keys of nature's forces through the medium of science, government, the military. You see, intelligence is a power of the objective mind. Whether it's good or bad, it can only be objective, and the objective consciousness is the lowest level of consciousness, okay? So the salvation of humanity exists only in somehow cultivating more rapidly the spiritual growth, which makes for the needed self-control of the individual. And there's opposition to the evolved personalities. This accounts for the slow spiritual evolution of humanity as a whole. We've been dominated by bodily processes, animal impulses, savage tradition, infantile impressions, and now it's time for numerous conventional and traditional relations. But now it's time for us to start using ancient knowledge from the past and transmute that into the spiritual wisdom of the future. And when humanity has evolved sufficiently, this concept will yield to more universal and hence less individualistic values. And then and only then will we gain a panoramic view of all those mysteries still eluding our comprehension. We have a mass population still possessed by cupidity, avarice, hatred, greed, lust, domination, and we are principally dominated by the physical self, emotional ecstasy. We must become detached from the distractions of the senses, the qualities of the known. You see, impure desires are hard to suppress. Let me repeat that. Impure desires are hard to suppress. This explains the world's issues that we have today. Many world leaders are so earthbound, they have no galactic visions or galactic responsibility to a greater overall purpose. We must know how to silence the profane voice within and stop the result of idolizing our creation. Is there any greater proof of man's weakness than the multiplicity of his words? A great Sufi mystic once said, if the word you are going to say is not more beautiful than silence, then do not say them. And I modified that a little bit. I said, if the words that you are going to hear and say is not more beautiful than silence, then do not hear them or say them. What we're talking about here is having a strong human constitution. Forget about the mundane passion and the mundane intellect. There's a greater transcendent reality for you to experience, a vasta vista, a dynamic bridge to the pure acts that are free of passion, lust, greed, ignorance, hatred, jealousy, error. You see, ignorance is a mental and intellectual blindness. And as I said earlier, the lowest level of the stream of consciousness is the objective one, the one that we exist in. And unfortunately, a false sophistication is trying and seems to have the edge over open and acclaimed goodness. But We must not close our minds to the possibility of enlightened spirit. We must look beyond the material into the psychic realms. You see, material wealth doesn't exist beyond this plane of existence. We are the jewels of cosmic consciousness, but there's a faction that wants to keep us eternally at the level of sex slaves and sex objects, subservient to authority, cryptocracy, kleptocracy, anything but a democracy, where the select few at the top of the apex of human civilization, they have all the secrets and they control the masses through those secrets and with those secrets. But know that those deceivers who attempt to create the inner confusion afflicting actually most people are what I call lower level unevolved entities themselves, LEWs. That is lower level unevolved entities. You see, you have to shake your head over the obtuse perceptions these characters have, or the lack of perceptions. You see, they want humanity to fall into a materialistic age, an age when the average person holds material wealth as the highest good. And it's a sad commentary that popular entertainment often reduces itself to an escalation of shock and terror to entertain the masses. Part of the lower level unevolved entities' plan. They want us to believe we have descended into the lower worlds of form. But we must engender lofty ideas, have a feeling of plenitude, a beatitude. A person's reach should exceed their grasp of what's the heavens for. Don't be afraid of change. As with all change, much is lost as well as gained. Remember, nothing can be accepted as truth upon mere professed authority. Truth must stand the test of examination and demonstration. So, my friends, look into the human heart and awaken its consciousness, and begin with the secret chambers of your own heart. Because traveling the wide path is spiritually lazy, but traveling the narrow path is the ancient equilibrating path leading to mastership and profound spiritual unfoldment, which brings about illumination of the inner self. You see, meditation allows you to hit the G-spot of spiritual ecstasy. But so many of us are listening to fascinating and tempting words of deceit and deception through the music, through the politicians. We need to listen to the beautiful golden words of truth. We alone must decide whether truth or untruth, light or darkness shall have the victory. And once we decide, know that they both have their own paymaster. You see, a lot of people are in mental and spiritual misery. And as such, you can see the conditions around you. Because we have a great and vast network of laws, rules. They're so all-encompassing, they choke off our personal initiative and creativity. We must be relatively free of rigid domination if life is to be worth living. You see, humanity is at the point of no return. We must make these decisions. We're like a teacup attempting to hold the ocean because of our alluring material possessions, which we must have. But now it's time to be moved by cosmic impulses and inspiration. Resist with all your might those physical and mental sensations which tend to keep you bound only to the interest of the body. And if you have those finite inadequacies, which we all do from time to time, it just means that we have a need for further spiritual evolution. And may you always live at the level of soul consciousness. And I hope that I was able to spread amongst humanity the testimony of the light acquired on the path toward the greater light.